Hello, thank you so much for joining us here on News 8. I'm Nada Irampour, and here at News 8, we are working for you. We're listening to your concerns, investigating your questions, and we want to find solutions that matter in our community to help you out. So we are going to begin here with the threat of wildfires as we head into the hottest months of the year. Just weeks ago, CAL FIRE showed us its newest firefighting aircraft while training crews on how to use these. This past week, we did see those new tools put to the test. News 8's Brian White showing us how CAL FIRE's newest aircraft helped battle the Sorrento fire from above.
Yeah, fire crews out here continue to work on hotspots and containment lines. But on Monday, this hillside was the scene of an aggressive aerial attack that gave us one of our first close-up looks at CAL FIRE's newest aircraft in action. As flames burned through vegetation near Sorrento Valley Boulevard, threatening homes and prompting evacuations, San Diego Fire Rescue called in help from the air. Among the aircraft responding were CAL FIRE's newest additions to its firefighting fleet, the S-70 Firehawk helicopter and the C-130 Hercules air tanker. We first showed you the Firehawk just weeks ago during training exercises in Warner Springs. On Monday, our cameras captured the helicopter making repeated water drops on an active wildfire for one of the first times since entering service at a base in Ramona.
It's almost like a reward, right? We waited so many months trying to get this helicopter down here to Ramona, and we finally have it here.
The helicopter can also split its load into multiple drops, allowing crews to target different parts of a fire without having to return as many times to refill. Also making a big impact over the Sorrento fire was CAL FIRE's new C-130 air tanker. The massive aircraft laid down long lines of bright pink retardant designed to slow the fire's advance and help crews build containment.
It has a 4,000-gallon capacity of fire retardant. So it's able to drop a big volume of fire retardant, create that little containment line along the fire to help put out the flames out ahead of it.
That's more than 3 times the retardant capacity of CAL FIRE's traditional S2 air tankers. The Sorrento fire burned 90 acres before firefighters stopped its forward progress. Evacuation orders have since been lifted, but crews remain on scene as the investigation into the cause continues. Monday's fire provided one of the clearest looks yet at how both aircraft are expected to strengthen wildfire response in San Diego County. In Sorrento Valley, I'm Brian White, News 8.
And now the city of San Diego was staring down a lawsuit that could have blown a $150 million hole in its budget. In response to that, City Council recently agreed to settle, reducing trash fees for single-family homeowners and ending paid parking in Balboa Park. In 2022, voters approved ending 106 years of free trash pickup with a promised monthly fee between $23 and $29. City Council ended up setting the actual charge at nearly $44 a month, which many were paying for the past few months. Homeowners sued. They argued that violated a state law barring utility fees from exceeding the actual cost of service. The settlement now reduced that fee to $38.75 a month. That's for a large trash bin. And homeowners have agreed to drop the lawsuit. Council member Stephen Whitburn helped broker the agreement.
Keep the costs down because the revenue is going to be down. Even with that, there's going to be about a $10 million revenue hit in both fiscal year 28 and 29, but that's a manageable hit, and it's certainly better than what would have happened if we'd have faced a $150 million hit if the trash fees had gone away altogether.
Paid parking in Balboa Park will end at the start of next year. Reduced trash fees, those will begin on July 1st of 2027. So paid parking was also part of that. Yeah, you'll get free parking again in a few months. If you do plan on swimming, paddling, or playing in Mission Bay this summer, this new report might make you think again. So listen to this before you make those plans. San Diego Coastkeeper tested water quality across the bay, and they found persistently high bacteria levels in one of San Diego's most popular recreational waterways. News 8's Steffi Roche working for you on this and shows us what has people concerned.
The San Diego Coastkeeper's 2025 Mission Bay Water Quality Monitoring Report, released May 27th, details 2 years of monthly water testing at 10 locations throughout Mission Bay. The findings point to both storm-related pollution and year-round contamination sources affecting the bay, especially at Rose Creek and Tecolote Creek. The report found both creeks exceed state recreation safety standards at least half of the time.
Well, let's say you go swimming or paddleboarding in Mission Bay. If you're exposed, you splash water on yourself. That water has high levels of bacteria, and you ingest a little bit or you get some in a cut, then that can cause an infection. That can cause a gastrointestinal illness.
That's Philip Musigis, the executive director of San Diego Coastkeeper. According to the report, bacteria levels surged across all monitoring sites following rainstorms. And Musigis tells me this is common and expected in any body of water. However, in this case, the Coastkeeper found that both Rose and Tecolote Creeks consistently had elevated bacteria counts even during dry weather conditions.
We should see clean water during dry weather.
As for the source of the high bacteria levels, it's still not clear.
When we see high levels of bacteria in a stream like Tecolote Creek, most of it will come from human sources. Some comes from wildlife, a small amount. But it's typically, if you're seeing enough bacteria to cause a violation of a safe health standard, which we're seeing, then there's either a leaking sewer pipe, some sort of direct discharge of untreated sewage that's unregulated. There's something going on that needs to be addressed.
Musigis tells me the extent of the pollution does not rise to the level of the Tijuana River sewage crisis, but people living near the bay may notice something familiar.
There are times here at Tecolote Creek and in Rose Creek, certainly where you can smell that odor of sewer gases, that kind of sulfur odor. If you're smelling that, that means there's enough bacteria in that water that it's off-gassing and getting into the air.
I'm Steffi Roche.
That's good to know about incidents where you might smell that sulfur. You may want to move away. We do have an update on a working for you story that we've been following out of Lakeside. A man reached out to us here at News 8 after racking up parking tickets that he could not explain and couldn't contest. So we investigated, and the county then doubled down. But as Abby Black shows us now, the county decided to eventually back off.
In May, Dan Scott came to News 8 after getting slapped with 3 parking tickets that he says were bogus in Lakeside. Well, we started working for you and found out that he was right. Now the sheriff's department has dismissed all of his tickets and his neighbors.
At your request.
When Dan Scott opened 3 letters from the sheriff's office, he wasn't sure what to expect.
I thought it was going to say denied. But when I had to read it twice, and I thought, am I seeing that right?
It was clear.
It has been determined that the parking violation should be dismissed in the interest of justice. These are the parking violations.
In May, Scott reached out to News 8 after getting hit with 3 parking tickets on Julian Avenue near Channel Road in Lakeside, in a spot he insisted was legal and couldn't contest online.
Just can't find it, and I tried for 30 days.
We did our own digging, checking the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and found he was right. The arrow on a no parking sign points toward the restricted zone, but the sheriff's office doubled down, saying the tickets were valid.
A few days after the last interview, there was another 10 tickets given out here.
Scott submitted a written appeal and waited.
I wonder about the rest of the people. There has to be at least 50, 75, possibly 100 tickets that's been issued here.
Today, I followed up with the sheriff's office and shared their response with Scott.
Upon review of the roadway and associated signage, it was determined that the parking is allowed in a small section in the 12,300 block of Julian Avenue.
That's what I wanted to see, that they did talk to their people in their team and said, okay, we were wrong, they were right. That's basically what that's saying. That's sweet. That's better than the letters they sent me.
But Scott still has one fight left. One ticket hit his DMV record before he could contest it.
And so I'll have to go into DMV and show them the letters, and hopefully they'll take the fine off of there.
As for the tickets, the sheriff's office says that deputies have been briefed and drivers on that stretch of Julian Avenue should not see citations like these again.
Yes, and I want to thank News 8 for coming out and doing this story. I think it did help quite a bit. I think it brought some attention to some people.
Working for you in Lakeside, Abby Black, News 8.
Up next here, major improvements when it comes to crime in Oceanside. We are speaking with the city's police chief about what has changed there. Plus, many Californians started working from home at the start of the pandemic, and then they never went back. We're going to get into the fight at the state capitol that could force many people back into the office. Welcome back here. Right now, Oceanside is reporting its lowest crime levels in at least 20 years. According to a mid-year report from Santee, Oceanside has seen a 5% drop in crimes against persons over the past year. So that would include crimes like murders, aggravated assaults, and other violent crimes. Meanwhile, crimes against society like drug or narcotic violations, gambling, or animal cruelty, those are down about 11% in the last year. Since 2021, community crime has fallen almost 70%. Yes, 70. Oceanside PD Chief Torino Valdovinos credits his department's use of new technology as playing a major role in curbing crime.
And I think the word has gotten out that if you commit a crime in Oceanside, because of our use of that technology, we're going to identify you and you're going to be placed under arrest.
That's the chief you just heard from. The chief also says narcotics enforcement has shifted since 2020, with fewer cases being handled as traditional felonies in our state. He expects that number to increase as law enforcement agencies increase enforcement. In just a matter of weeks from now, most state employees will be required to return to the office at least 4 days a week. And that's because of a mandate by Governor Gavin Newsom. This tug of war between the state and labor unions opposing the mandate has been going on for years now. News 8's State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh with the details.
The latest in opposition is actually quite visible. A billboard featuring Newsom's face off Interstate 80 here in Sacramento. The push by state employees to make telework a permanent option is only getting stronger.
I think we need to be back in the office to make sure that taxpayer dollars that are going to pay these people are going to actual work product.
If we force everyone to come back to the office, we may see mass resignations, frankly.
The debate and divide over Governor Newsom's return to work mandate continues. The latest opposition, this billboard off Interstate 80 in Sacramento, which reads Gavin Newsom's $225 million traffic jam, oppose return to office. $225 million, the amount the state auditor's office said the state saves via telework.
Nice to see you again. I mean, it'd be nice to see you again. Nice to see you again. Nice to run into you in the hall. Nice to develop a relationship. While I'm empathetic to change, we've been previewing this for years now, and we want to get it done.
But Newsom has remained firm, sending a May memo to departments reminding them of the mandate. The mandate was set to kick in last year, but was pushed back to this July.
I typically don't agree with the governor, but we agree on this one. I think he's seeing the same productivity issues that I am.
The administration has not properly planned for this. Like I said, there's not enough parking, there's not enough desk space, not enough computers.
Democratic Assemblymember Alex Lee is behind a bipartisan bill that would require state agencies to provide justification on why their employees need to return to office. Lee's bill is a direct pushback to Newsom's mandate, which he calls old-fashioned. Powerful state labor unions like SEIU Local 1000 are backing Lee's bill. They've sued the state for unfair labor practices, saying the mandate is a sweeping order despite telework being a negotiable working condition. And another union representing state legal employees filed an environmental lawsuit over increased commutes to work.
But this is a pitted battle between state employees and their union and the governor's administration.
A Cal HR spokesperson says while the agency has been tasked to implement the mandate, it is up to each department to navigate logistics like parking, desk space, and accommodations. But Newsom's office warns all available workspaces must be filled at least 4 days a week, and that insufficient space, quote, will not excuse or delay a return to office to the maximum extent feasible.
Like history, I hope it will play out the same way, where the governor will feel that pressure and be like, you know what, I'm not going to fight this anymore.
And an emphasis on just how much remains to be figured out. State entities like the Department of Justice and Education, which have their own elected leaders, are not entirely under the governor's authority, so they're not fully bound to the RTO order. Jenny Huh, News 8.
Coming up next, gas is getting more expensive in California. We're going to dig into what to expect for this summer as questions linger about oil supplies. Welcome back. Summer road trip plans may cost you more this year as gas prices stay volatile and the conflict in the Middle East shows no sign of easing. News 8 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh now breaking down what Californians can expect.
Well, it's an ongoing debate for state leaders. Last we heard, California had enough fuel supply for the month of May. We're hearing new numbers and estimates now.
California's motorists have the most pain at the pump, and taxes are just one source.
And starting July 1st, Californians will start paying about 2 cents more per gallon of gas because of the state's gas tax adjustment for inflation. This year, it will increase from 61 cents to 63 cents for gasoline, about 47 cents to 48 cents for diesel. Gas tax revenue goes toward transportation improvements.
Smaller gas tax changes may not necessarily be visible at the pump the day they're implemented.
Ahead of this looming increase, state leaders are also following fuel supply concerns in the state. Vice Chair of the State Energy Commission, Siva Gunda, says there is limited visibility due to the war in Iran and continued closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
Up to 6 or 7 weeks. That's the visibility we have. That doesn't mean that we will run out of supply in California.
He adds because California is an oil island, it can either import fuel or produce and refine in-state. But as the state works to meet its zero emissions by 2045 goal, it's making business more challenging for in-state refineries and consequently importing a historic amount.
Imports are continuing to increase. That's an important piece. As the supply gets tight in California, the prices will go up and attract more imports.
Increased imports largely driven by the recent closure of 2 California refineries, which reduced in-state refining capacity by about 20% and drove up costs even before the Iran war.
California, potentially the worst possible time, has seen the loss of 2 refineries. It's about understanding what California's end goal is. Is California's end goal to push refineries out of business? Is it to overall improve air quality across the globe?
What will that look like, and what would that mean to an average California family of 4? In that transition and those goals.
That's the lingering question California leaders must answer as the threat of more refinery closures and high prices at the pump loom.
California's gasoline supply is not something that keeps me up at night.
Just because we have continued supply doesn't mean prices will continue to fall necessarily, does it?
Yeah, exactly right. Apps like Gas Buddy, Google Maps, and Waze help empower motorists to know where prices are cheaper. Certainly conservation. Depending on how you drive, you're more fuel efficient.
Meantime, another state energy leader, the Air Resources Board, is also navigating tense debates with legislators, the petroleum industry, and environmental advocates. Jenny He, News 8.
Yeah, try not to slam on those pedals. That might help your gas usage. Coming up next, if you are using AI to help you in your job hunt, you're not alone. How the people who make those final hiring decisions are also using this technology. Welcome back here. The city of Santee is considering a pilot program that would install 6 automated license plate reader cameras throughout the city. Supporters say the cameras could help investigators track things like stolen vehicles, locate suspects, and make arrests. However, privacy advocates are concerned about increased surveillance and data sharing. Working for you, we spoke with city leaders about how the cameras would help local law enforcement.
Maybe we have a burglary someplace. Plate goes by, gets it hit. So what we're looking for is a general law enforcement tool that can help us out with any kind of investigative necessary.
The cameras would be installed as part of a 1-year pilot program while city leaders evaluate whether the system is effective. As AI continues to transform the way some people work, it's also changing how we get hired. And now, as Tina Kraus shows us, more employers are turning to this technology to zero in on the best candidates.
Do you use AI in school?
They're still a few years out from entering the workforce, but these students in London are already grappling with a question changing how people get hired.
What about if you had a robot interviewing you? Would you like that?
For a growing number of job seekers, that first interview isn't with a person at all.
This is a structured interview. I'll be asking you questions.
That's not a recruiter, it's an AI avatar, helping companies weed through a flood of applications, many now AI written. The latest industry data shows nearly 9 in 10 companies are using AI in hiring. About 75% of resumes are filtered before a person sees them, and AI cuts hiring time by up to 50%.
Robots don't have actual feelings, and sometimes they might not understand what they have to do, and it's not as reliable as humans.
But for employers, it's about speed and scale.
We're seeing 3 times more applications globally as a result, probably, of the increase in AI's availability.
Take a picture of the card,
Recruitment firms say AI is verifying identities, asking questions, and scoring responses before a person ever gets involved.
So that they can actually get to the important human elements of the recruitment process, like meeting candidates and talking to hiring managers about who they're looking for.
As AI takes a bigger role in hiring, companies are still figuring out where technology works best and where the human touch matters most. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Interesting what they're doing to hire people. And now the San Diego County Fair, it has returned to Del Mar. We are working for your wallet. Yes, we want you to get out there, but also you can, save you some money. If you want to skip the traffic, there's the Fair Tripper, getting you a round trip on MTS or North County Transit, plus a fair ticket for nearly the same price as admission. Albertsons and Vons also selling discount tickets. Kids under 12 can get in free on Fridays. And there will be Foodie Fridays with some vendors offering half-off items. So go hungry because, yes, the funnel cake and all of that is definitely worth trying. And that's going to do it for us. Remember, if there's anything you want us to look into, go ahead and email us right here, workingforyou@cbs8.com. Hope you have a great day.